Make a stitch with the length of rosebud. Leave a loop and come up near the entry hole. Dip the needle eye under the fabric and wide enough thread on the needle to cover the stitch length. Make sure you're winding one layer of thread. When the length is enough, hold the threads with one hand and pull the needle up with the other hand. Pull up until the knot lies on the fabric. And come down, finishing the stitch. Repeat the stitch from and to the same start and end point. Make as much bullion knots as you want to form the rosebud. Go down in the nearby hole. Leave a loop. Push half of the needle up and start casting on thread. Wrap thread over your finger, forming a loop, twist it and place it on the needle and pull. Make sure loops are tied to the fabric and each other. The more loops, longer the stitch. Hold threads with one hand and pull the needle up with the other hand. Come down into the entry hole. Repeat the stitch 2-3 times, forming a flower. You can secure the petals with short stitch. Or leave them sticking out of the fabric. Just as it sounds, buttonhole stitch in the triangle shape. Come up from the lower peak and down into the upper. Leave a loop. Come up into the loop. And repeat, go down to the peak, leave a loop. Come up into the loop and pull. To finish stitch, come down into the same hole, wrapping the thread. Come up and down into the same hole. Leave a loop. Come up into the lower peak into the loop. And repeat. Come down into the peak, leave a loop, come up into the loop. To finish the stitch, go down into the same hole. The difference between these stitches is only visible from the first stitch. Buttonhole stitch looks open, chain stitch is closed. Come up and take the thread out of the needle. Insert the needle into the fabric near the entry hole and cast on loops like we did before. Once you have the desired length, thread the needle back. And go down holding the threads. Now the petal is only attached to the fabric with one side. Make as much petals as you want. They can be longer, shorter. Good way to use thread leftovers. Make a knot in the middle. Bend it in half and place on the fabric. Make satin stitches over the knot. Make sure knot is not visible. And cut it to the desired length. Don't make a knot and come down leaving the thread. Its length of the size of the flower. Come up as close to the entry point as you can. And cut the thread. Make as much tufts as you need for your flower. Place them close to each other and they will stay in place. To avoid constant cutting, I just leave loops and cut them all in the end. Although the threads will stay in the fabric, I wouldn't recommend to make it on the wearable pieces. Draw 2 lines and embroider X stitch. Come up on the left, slide under the X without going to fabric, and come down on the right. Repeat. Make evenly spaced knots on the piece of thread, about 20 knots. Cut pieces of thread with 2 knots. Come up and pierce through the middle of each knotted thread. Just between these 2 knots. Come down through the middle to attach them to the fabric. More evenly spaced knots will give you more evenly shaped flower. These stitches are very nice to touch. These are the stitches I wanted to show. Check out the other parts with stitches for big flower buds and stitches for leaves and branches. Hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video!